Hello, good morning. Om Shanti. Audible? I can't hear you. So, good morning, and I request everyone to please move forward. All of these places are not for any VIPs. You are the VIPs today. Please come forward. So, very good to see all of you arriving here on Sunday morning. How many of you are attending a Brahma Kumari's event for the first time? A handful of you. Very good. So, for everyone, just a short introduction of who the Brahma Kumaris are. Everyone comfortable with English? Good. So, the Brahma Kumaris, as you might know, is a spiritual organization and works as an NGO. We started way back in 1936 in undivided India in Karachi. And in 1950, from there, we shifted to the present headquarters in Mount Abu in Rajasthan. And we have centers and branches in around 130 plus countries. That itself says and speaks that it's not a religious organization, and people from all cultures, backgrounds, irrespective of the economic status, they all come here to experience what we were hearing in the song, Be Who You Are. So, knowing who I am and experiencing the qualities that we all wish to and long for is peace, joy, and happiness in life. So we have been serving different people in the country, especially, and in India, we have wings associated to the Brahma Kumaris under the Raj Yoga Education and Research Foundation. We have wings like the Women Wing, IT Wing, Jurist, Cultural, Youth, Sports, Women Wing. So there are a lot of wings, basically, which tell us that meditation can be practiced and its benefits can be experienced by everyone, irrespective of age and what we do as a work. And since youth are the present and the future of the world, everyone has special hopes in the youth, and that is why we have a youth wing as well, which is serving the young people of the country. And today we are having Brother Dan with us. If you could come in front, please. So we have Brother Danny from Australia amongst us. And to introduce him, he is basically from New Zealand. And he completed his graduation in 2004 with LLB, BA Honours and BCom. And then he was admitted as a barrister and solicitor to High Court of New Zealand in 2006. Then he practiced as a lawyer, Australian lawyer, in 2007. He has worked for 7 years in one of the largest organizations committed to providing free legal services to some of the most vulnerable and disadvantaged people in Melbourne. That is about his background with work and education. And regarding his association with spirituality, meditation, and the Brahma Kumaris, he's been practicing meditation for around 20 plus years now. And since 19 years, he has been teaching people the benefits of practicing meditation in daily life. And he's especially been associated with serving the youth back in Australia as well. And so we thought, since he's in India, in Pune, so we should take advantage and invite the youth specially. Presently, he's a volunteer at the Brahma Kumaris headquarters in Sydney, and he's the secretary for the Brahma Kumaris in Australia and also part of the management team. Before that, he was at the retreat center in Melbourne, where I met him and I got some time to spend in the Melbourne Retreat Center. So he was taking care of the kitchen. So we had retreats for a lot of people like we have here today. So he was coordinating all of that. And we have the board with his qualities mentioned, but I'm sure they're just words. You'll experience more of his personality and what he has to share his wisdom today with us. So over to you.
So Om Shanti, good morning. Thank you very much, Nikki Ben, for the sweet introduction.
Yeah, sorry to mention the topic today is Design Your Destiny. So,
great.
All the best.
I was thinking when Nikki was giving the introduction of the Brahma Kumaris, it's interesting that the organization started in India, and you're all from India and I'm not from India. And here I am representing the Brahma Kumaris speaking to you. It should be the other way around, right? You should be here continuing to educate me. I have a debt of gratitude to all of you because India gave birth to the Brahma Kumaris and I've benefited a lot from what the Brahma Kumaris have taught. So it's my gratitude to you, actually. So I want to get a few ideas from all of you about what you think the topic means, because it's always really useful just to get some impression and understanding from the audience what your expectation is, what your thought is about the topic. So anyone feel courageous enough to share? What do you think? Design your destiny, think right, spread light. Anyone feeling brave? Or you're going to be shy?
Thoughts can change the world.
What thoughts can change the world? Yeah. What else? Sisters?
Positive thinking can change the attitude of the life or how you think about life.
Positive thinking can change the attitude towards life? How you think about life? Yeah, absolutely. Is it possible that you could have the ideal life in everyone else's eyes, but feel miserable inside? Is it possible? Shri? Possible? It's possible. Shri said so. He's right as well, and you know it. So what is it that's inside people that could make that happen? Because in our culture, East and West these days, we are given a design for something external, yeah? We are told to strive for certain external goals. Yet, it's possible that you could achieve all of those external goals, but internally, not be satisfied. So something is missing in our education, right? For me, that's why I started coming here, because there's a gap in my education and I had to fill that gap. It seems so pointless, right? You turn on the news, you hear about some famous Bollywood person and they've committed suicide. And in the eyes of the world, they're so successful, they've got money, they're popular, and inside, the way they feel, they've suicided. So there's a gap, and it's a very crucial gap. It's a life and death gap. It means that much. It's more valuable than anything else, actually, isn't it? It's more valuable than a house. It's more valuable than a car. It's even more valuable than family. Because without it, we could have nothing, even though in everyone else's eyes, people could be telling us we had everything. So it's so important, this topic. Think right, spread light. My thoughts create my reality. Simple statement. My thoughts create my reality. Now, we are taught that my reality creates my thoughts, aren't we? Generally speaking, my reality creates my thoughts. Flip it. Other way around. And pretty much everything here, I find we flip it. This mic is not working out?
Probably just let's try with this so that
okay.
it works better. There is some sense.
I'll get... Cool. Okay. Does sound a bit better, doesn't it? The other one was a bit hollow. We don't need to stop the traffic control thing, right? In the building, some music plays periodically where we stop and check our thoughts. So we flip things around here. My thoughts create my reality. And the reason that things have gotten backwards is because of something that we talked about as soul consciousness versus body consciousness. Who's heard about this before? Soul consciousness and body consciousness? None of you. Gee, you're even too shy to put your hands up. Even the people who I know have heard about it there. But don't worry, we'll help you with the shyness as we go through. Soul consciousness versus body consciousness. In body consciousness, everything gets back to front. Our priorities get back to front, and the way we look at life also gets back to front, upside down. And so the practice of meditation is to try and reverse this. Otherwise, we stay back to front, and even though we may externally in our life pursue so many things, we don't get the achievement that we want because there's an internal factor that we haven't considered. That's the gap, right? So we want to close that gap today. Yeah? Are we okay with the sound system? It doesn't sound that great, but anyway, I'll just continue and then that can be their responsibility. So, closing this gap is the transition from body consciousness to soul consciousness. And that's basically, if you were to sort of summarize the Brahma Kumaris as, what this whole place is about, what we do. Everyone here is on a journey of moving from being body conscious to trying to get soul conscious. Put aside philosophy, worldview, it's actually about personal change. And the underlying philosophy is when I change, the world changes. Because I can't make anyone else be soul conscious. I can only make myself soul conscious. So as much as we may want to help people and support people, you can't force someone to realize that they're a spiritual being from thinking that they're just a bodily form. Cannot possible, right? How could you? If I sort of go up to you, hit you, it's not going to work. I can't control your thoughts. So I can't get in your head. There's no way I can actually move you out of one consciousness into another. It's a personal journey. It's an individual choice. Yeah? Yet it's one of the most important decisions that we'll ever make in our whole life for the reasons already given, right? To move into a soul conscious state is to put our priorities the right way around. It's to realize that my thoughts are generating my reality. I'm not like a passive slave of my life where everything that's around me generates what creating my life. That the things that I do build my reality inside. So my thoughts are so critical because they actually build and develop that reality. So meditation is the seed of changing, regulating, controlling my thoughts. So it's the most essential practice for that. For me, without meditation, there's no prospect of getting more along soul consciousness. That's how I do it. So we'll definitely build some meditation into today's session as well, because that's the foundation, that's the practice. How do I get into that awareness of myself as a spiritual being? The commentary that we played at the start was also built around, talked about that. So it's a mic swap.
Because we are near the speakers.
That's cool. So better luck with this one. Cool. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to speak a guided commentary for a few minutes, only 3 or 4 minutes, and it's just to help us try and move our consciousness. So sitting comfortably with my eyes open or closed, whatever feels more comfortable. I am aware of the thoughts, what's going on inside me. I'm not judging. It's not positive or negative. I'm just aware. I am the one who has awareness. I'm aware of what happened before I arrived here, aware of coming up the front stairs, aware of where I'm sitting now, and aware of the thoughts in my mind. My thoughts are so powerful that I can use them to create the way I am inside, my inner world. My thoughts can create my feelings. And so I choose to focus on the thought of peace. I create the thought that I am a being of peace. Underneath the pressure, the stress of life, there is still a being that thrives on peace. Whether I think about the word or a feeling of peace, I'm keeping my attention on this quality. I create the affirmation in my mind. I am a being of peace. Om Shanti. I am peaceful. I bring my attention back to the room, to how I'm sitting. I just keep in the back of my mind that I'm a being of peace. Om Shanti. So, bringing your attention back to our discussion, we'll just continue doing these simple little pauses during the talk today, because it slowly starts to build that feeling. And one of our aims is that when you leave here, you walk out feeling totally peaceful, totally relaxed. And if there is anything troubling you, you feel that it's further away from you, that you've got distance from your troubles. Because what happens is that we crowd our mind, we crowd the consciousness, our inner world, with things which disturb our peace, which take us away from that. And then we start to feel that I'm not a peaceful person. Actually, I'm a stressed person. I'm an angry person. And then we recite these affirmations and we start to create a false reality about ourselves. Actually, the original nature of everyone is deep peace. Everyone likes to be in a state of peace, right? You can stay in it. Even if people get agitated, they want to get out from the agitation and become peaceful, right? They don't want to stay permanently in agitation, because peace is the fundamental nature. Agitation is not. Agitation is the learnt behavior, the temporary nature, the thing we're trying to avoid. And peace is what's intrinsic, what's fundamental, what belongs to us, that what we want to stay in. But the other things, the noise that's going on in our mind, right? That's what's made us start to believe in a false reality and reject actual reality. I know when I came to meditation, when someone said I was peaceful, I just thought they were an idiot. Like, they don't know me and they're telling me I'm peaceful. If they knew me, they would understand that I'm not a peaceful person. I am a slightly pissed off person. That's how I was. So that's my nature, right? That's my belief about myself. So I didn't agree with that thought. Maybe some of you here feel the same way, that that's not your original nature. But just think, is that your belief just based on the things that you've crowded into your mind? Or is it the reality of who you are? And if it's just because that's what you've crowded into your mind, maybe you would actually be happier if you could create some space, declutter. These days in the West, it's very popular to declutter. You can even hire someone. I don't know if you can do that here. You can employ someone to help you throw out your stuff because people accumulate so much rubbish. Yeah, shopping frenzy, right? And you can employ someone to help you declutter. So maybe the Brahmakumaris are the spiritual equivalent of a decluttering organization for human psychology to help people remove their mental clutter. And then they will realize inside what is intrinsic, what is the fundamental self. Make sense? People are nodding. So fundamental to this understanding that I am a being of peace is understanding I am a spiritual being. This physical form, this body, isn't who I really am. The things associated with this body are also not who I really am. How can I possibly say that? For some of you, that might be like, yeah, it makes total sense. And for some of you, that makes no sense at all. So I have to cater to both groups. Some of you will have done this so many times. But understanding my core identity, the self. And in our culture, we are taught that I am my family, I am my social status, I am my roles and responsibilities, I am my possessions, or I'm a whole bunch of labels that society gives me: culture, nationality, religion, gender, some of the labels. Status has many forms. You can also add sort of like friends. One of the things that struck me when I first came to India 20 years ago, and I met some people at the airport, and the first thing they wanted to know was like, what's your educational background, what my father does, and then what my job is. And to me, it was like, oh, those are pretty weird questions, especially like what my father does. I mean, in the West, no one cares what someone else's parents do. It's not to compare, but it's just interesting to understand that there's a focus on this aspect more heavily in India, and probably in foreign countries there's a bit more weight on this side. But either way, they're just different flavors of body consciousness. Both are just completely body conscious. International culture of planet Earth, body consciousness. Completely, right? Everyone is caught in an externalized, false version of their identity. And if we want to create significant positive change in this world, it's the transition to a true version of my inner identity. And it's not something that we can change about someone else. It's about me. And on the one hand, if we have lots of thoughts about other people, that will be a big letdown for us, right? But I want to change this person. I want to change that person. No, it won't work for that. So if that's what you're into, sorry, we won't be able to help you. Not at all. But if what you want is that you can create deep change in yourself, and then through that change, other people get inspired, seeing your transformation, then they'll be interested in changing because they'll think, wow, this guy was so angry and now he's chilled out. This person was so materialistic and now they're detached from that. Awesome. That type of change inspires people. And so that's how we understand world transformation here. It's not about externally forcing other people, but inspiring through my example. So who is the one that owns all of these? Is that inner identity, that spiritual self, I the soul. The word doesn't really matter. If you don't like the word soul, you can also just say consciousness, inner being. It's that part of us which has been continuous throughout our lives. That part of us which is like the essence of who we are. Because in our life, however much you may think these things are really who you are, you look at any of them and you tell me which one will be with you forever. Your label's going to be with you forever? Nah, even this body is temporary, right? So the label's connected to it will finish. Family permanent? No, we love them. We don't want them to pass away, but no one is immortal in that sense, bodily world. Status is temporary. Look at the guy, I forget the name of that cryptocurrency, but it crashed last week, right? He was like, had $20 billion to his name, and then 7 days later, zero. Status is permanent? Hell no. Roles and responsibilities, anyone been fired before? You don't have to admit that, it's okay. Roles are temporary, right? Jobs come and go. May get fired, may quit. They're not going to be there forever. Property? Nah, I've crashed a couple of cars. They definitely go, don't last. So all of these things, which we may be basing our life on, basing our sense of self-respect on, that we think is the most important thing in life, that we tell other people is the most important thing in life, isn't the most important thing in life, because it's temporary. It will pass. And if I'm holding on to it, what will be my internal experience when it passes? I will suffer. The tighter I hold, the more my pain. Tighter I hold, more my pain, right? And then I think it's the thing externally which is causing the pain, but actually it's the one holding that is causing the suffering, me. So soul consciousness is so deep because it goes to the core of our programming. From such a small age as children, we are raised to believe that we're the body, gender labels, right? Oh no, you're a girl, you wear this. Oh, you're a boy, play with a truck. You know what I mean? Like all of these things build from our childhood. We're programmed from day one, maybe even in utero, to think that we're a bodily identity. And we don't get this understanding usually that we're a spiritual being in a different perspective. So this is the real who I am and what's my values. If I'm not going to value these in the same way, my values, love, peace, happiness, can go on, right? What's the difference between these and these? Permanent, yeah, or at least aspirationally permanent. We're trying to stay in that state, yeah. If it was permanent, it would be easy life, but it comes and goes. And these are materialistic. These are non-physical, right? How big is your love? That much? What's the size of the peace in your life? You can't quantify it, right? It's not physical, spiritual thing. That's what spirituality is about. Very simple definition, right? Spirituality is about those things which aren't physical. Yet, if you remove love, peace, and happiness from your life, how will you feel? The worst life, right? You may have everything. You may be the richest person in the world. You may have the biggest family in the world. If you take out love, peace, and happiness, it goes to nil. Just like that. And yet, it's not physical. Yet, it's got no value. In the eyes of our materialistic society, it has no value. So, these are the original values of I, the soul, the spiritual being. And that's who I'm connecting to in meditation. That's what I'm regrounding myself in. I, the soul, that spiritual being. And that is spread light. I'm a being of light. Body is physical, soul is a light energy. Some people see auras. What is that? If you believe in that sort of thing, it's connected to the energy that the soul is sending out, right? So many different ways our society touches on the notion of the soul, but only sort of gives half the understanding. So I need to understand that I am that spiritual being. And then the next thing, which was our subtopic, is think right. So how do I think right? Anyone have any thoughts about right thinking? Don't all go at once. Yeah, go for it.
Created by our true values.
Thoughts created by our true values. Beautiful definition. Thinking right. It's connected to consciousness. So one of the things we say here is that actually my consciousness is like a seed. And from that, my thoughts grow. If the seed is right, it affects the thoughts that come naturally, automatically. So soul consciousness as a meditation practice starts to get into my thinking, and it will change the way I think. And if I change the way I think, it will also change the way I speak, and it will change the actions that I do, right? That's how powerful thoughts are. Can you speak without having a thought first? You can. I mean, some thought has to have been there for the words to come out, right? Can you perform actions without thoughts? Can you do anything with your body without thoughts? So the foundation of your whole materialistic existence is your thoughts. Without your thoughts, there would be no interaction with people. There would be no external things to do. So my thoughts are the most powerful thing in my life, but have I been checking and doing quality control on my thoughts? Most of us, less, right? Sometimes we become aware of our thoughts, sometimes we don't. In terms of doing it consistently, maybe not. But it's cool, you've come here. That's what the whole place is about. This whole place is about helping people go inside and check and find out what's happening inside in terms of their thoughts. Because then individuals can make really positive change in their lives. And hopefully, our aim is that you leave happier and that you get skills that will make you happier, more peaceful, more loving in your life. That is the only thing we really want to offer in terms of what people can take. Your own internal empowerment so you can make transformation in your life and be happier, more peaceful, more loving. And then what will the effect be on our world? Positive, right? The more people that get into this flow, the more it spreads. Hopefully it can spread faster than COVID, but it seems that so far COVID is a bit faster than us, but we're trying to catch up. Now I want to do an activity with you where I'm going to break you into small groups so that you can discuss these ideas more, because it's one thing to listen to me, but it's really good to chew it out, really think it through in a small group where you can all participate and share with each other. So to do that, I want it to be totally random. So I'm just going to ask you to number off, and then you'll find people who have the same number as you. Is that cool? Even if it's not cool, I'm going to do it, and you can just sort of object. So I think roughly we can do about 7 groups of people. So we're going to go 1 through to 7, and then it will go to 1 again. Is that cool? And I'll ask you to call out your number just because that will also help you remember it. So you're going to be number 3. 5. Are you guys in, or are you just 6 and then 7? Cool. So everyone who's a 1, find a 1. Everyone who's a 2, find a 2. Sit where you like in the room. Find your group. You can pull the chairs up around the small chairs. Is that okay? And then once you've found your group, I'll give you some questions to discuss. Cool. So once you've found your group, the first question that I would like you to discuss, there should be 4 or 5 people in a group, except for Shree's group. Okay. The question is to discuss amongst yourselves, what does soul conscious mean to you? Soul consciousness, what does it mean to you? Just share your thoughts about it. It may mean nothing to you. It may mean heaps to you. Doesn't matter. You just share with each other and try and make sure everyone gets an equal chance to share in the group. Listen to each other and share. Cool. Any clarification? You're clear about your question? I've written the question here if you're not sure, but I'm not sure if you can read it from your locations. What does soul consciousness mean to me? Share in your group. What does soul consciousness mean to me? There's not right or wrong answers. You just share what you understand with each other. Don't judge each other. Whatever anyone shares is what it means to them. It's about education. It's about learning. So just share. Cool. Start talking, please, with each other. Are you ready for your next question? Your next point of discussion? So the next thing to discuss, you can continue a little bit with that if you want to once I finish, but the next discussion point is I want you to discuss, everyone has a mother, right? Does anyone in this room not have a mum? It's not possible. She may have passed away, but at some point there was a mum for all of us. Now, love, peace, and happiness also have a mum. The mother of love, peace, and happiness is the soul. And ego, anger, greed, selfishness, jealousy, etc., attachment, they also have a mum. Do you know who the mum for them is? Do you want to meet her? She's just next door. No. The mum is body consciousness. So discuss, how is that possible in your group? How is it that thinking I'm a body gives rise to those things? And I've given one clue here, which they've got no hope of reading, I appreciate. But the clue is that when my external quality is based on something that's temporary, I will always be insecure inside. Yeah, if I'm at peace because I've got certain external circumstances, I'm vulnerable because those things will change. If my peace comes from knowing I'm a soul, I'm beyond that vulnerability because I haven't based my internal quality on something outside of my control. I haven't exposed myself to that risk. But discuss more about this in your group, how these two sets of qualities have a mum and why one set of qualities is given rise to this negative tendencies in us. Yeah, it's because of where they come from. So please go back to discussing soul consciousness, but bring this into it. Cool. Thank you. Cool. So if I'll just speak a few words for meditation. I'll play some gentle background music for us. One of the things with meditation is just, you just keep dipping into it, and slowly it starts to change us inside, and we'll start to change our thoughts naturally. It's not a forced process, but actually it happens quite organically. The more I connect into soul consciousness, the more it will be that I tune into my virtues. So sitting however is comfortable for you, eyes open or closed. I'm just going to guide you with some suggested thoughts to help you create an inner state of peace and silence.
I'm aware of how my body is sitting and aware of my own breath. And I consciously start to draw in deeper breaths. As I breathe in, I add a visualization. I imagine that I can breathe peace into my mouth, into my lungs, and that peace fills into my physical body. Each deep breath in, I also breathe in peace. And then I add a visualization for when I exhale. When I exhale, I visualize that I'm breathing out everything old, everything unwanted, any problems, anything stale in my life. I'm just letting it go, breathing it out. And when I breathe in, I'm replacing that with peace. Breathing in peace and exhaling all my problems, any tension, breathing it out. My mind is so powerful that I can use it to release tension in my physical body. I visualize, bring my awareness down to my feet, and I imagine that I can just completely relax my feet as if I turn them off, and bringing my awareness up to the lower legs, I switch them off. My knees, I relax, turn off the knees. The upper legs, I let them go, turn off the switch. Whole pelvis and lower back, I turn it off, let it go. When I get to my stomach, I can also just release any tension, any tightness. It completely softens the muscle and relaxes. I bring my awareness down to my fingertips, my hands, forearms. Completely relax my lower arms, elbows and upper arms. I let them go. I bring my attention to my chest, my shoulders. I feel them drop. All the tension drains out of my shoulders. They soften. Nothing to hold on to. Letting it go. Letting go of the muscles in my neck, back of my head and my face. Everything softens. I turn it off. As if my whole body feels light and weightless, completely at peace. And now I can use the same power of my thoughts to relax my inner being, my inner self. I create an image in my mind's eye of a tiny star of light energy. Simple image of a tiny point of light. And I imagine that tiny light is the essence of peace itself. I'm visualizing the deepest state of human peace. A tiny star. It's as if it radiates peaceful energy. The more I look at that tiny star in my mind's eye, it's as if that peace is shining into me, filling my inner being. Through my mind, I'm absorbing that energy of peace. I just keep my mind focused on this beautiful, radiant star of pure, peaceful energy. My mind is looking for the source of where this tiny star shines. I'm going closer and closer to the source of deep peace, filling the light of peace into my being. Absorbing more and more peaceful energy. I understand that my mind is like a tool that I can use to absorb peaceful energy. I love this state of deep peace, and it's always available to me. Now when I breathe in, I imagine that this whole experience of peace is being breathed into me. Peace is completely filling even my physical body, my lungs down to my legs. I am filled with peaceful energy. And I become aware again of how I'm breathing, how it feels the way I'm sitting. I can hear the background music, and I retune in to my senses and the world around me. If my eyes were closed, I get ready to open them. Om Shanti. So our minds are such powerful tools. Even our own physical form, our body, gets so impacted by our mind. When someone has tension in their shoulders, you can get a massage, but why did the tension come there? It can actually be because of our thoughts. In the same way that my thoughts can release the pressure that builds up in the physical body. These days, I think it's quite a common understanding as well that some diseases may also be caused by my thoughts and my mental attitudes. Yeah, I can generate sickness in my body. It's well proven that stress will create many different physical illnesses. So the mind is that much powerful, really. And each of us is born with it free, right? No one had to pay for it. We all got one. And it's the most significant organ in our life. The mind is the most powerful thing. And yet, sometimes its value is overlooked because it's very hard to see the mind, isn't it? And when we're brought up to believe that all of our problems and all of our aspirations are externally defined, we overlook the value of the mind as well. We're somewhat programmed to miss the obvious. So this is about rediscovering what's obvious, what was in front of our eyes but forgotten about. We talked quite a bit about soul, and I wondered if anyone wanted to hop up and share a sentence or two from what was discussed in their group. Dev, anything to share from your group? Sorry, Shri. No, it's okay. You can be shy. Anyone else want to share from their group? A couple of volunteers were feeling brave. I'm not going to let you off the hook this time. I'm going to keep on going until what soul consciousness meant. It could be some personal insight. It could be just your opinion. Something that someone said that you really liked. Yeah, great. Is it okay? I'll bring the mic to you.
We discuss about soul consciousness means inner peace, and another important point is having control on our thoughts that should not be triggered by someone else, and it should be controlled by inside from our that's the soul consciousness we discussed in our group number 4.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Bhaiji has given a very beautiful definition of soul consciousness. Okay. When we start seeing the good qualities of others, okay, that means the soul consciousness. Even if the person is very younger, but he has a lot of good qualities. So only those if we start seeing, that is the good.
Thank you. We had a couple from this side, so anyone? You've got a mic in your hand anyway.
Okay. So we discussed in the group 5 that soul consciousness is the inner peace which we have been detached for ages, and soul consciousness is our soul values which we have forgotten. So we need to enhance those to have a peaceful mind and a thoughtful, journey towards our life. Yeah.
Anyone else feel like sharing anything? Doesn't have to be in the front line on this side. One more, balance things up. I think there's someone who's just thinking about it. You just got to go like that the whole way. In the back row. No, okay, that's cool. Oh yeah, cool.
I think paying attention to yourself and your surroundings and how they affect you is soul consciousness.
This one maybe won't reach.
I think that soul is a reason, intelligence, and patience.
Soul is reason, intelligence, and patience. Beautiful. Of course, the one of the tricky things with something that you can't see that's spiritual, non-physical, is how to define it, right? How to explore it and understand it more. Because it can be subject to a lot of opinions. It's not easy to scientifically research it, right? Why is that? Does anyone have a clue why it's hard to prove the existence of the soul from a scientific perspective? It's a very simple reason. Is it too abstract? To an extent, that's true. It means science is based on observed phenomenon, right? Things that I can measure, temperature, height, etc., etc. How do you measure something which has a purely subjective existence? It is who I am. Consciousness is purely subjective. It doesn't have an objective existence. It's not a chair. It's not something that you can experiment on. It's something I can experiment on myself. But consciousness in others, in terms of trying to scientifically evidence it, is very challenging. But the thing is, when enough people practice meditation, you see results. And then you understand that what they're doing must have some consistency and be systematic. And they're experimenting. So even though the thing they're experimenting on isn't externally provable, it's very clear from human dialogue that it's a reality. The other thing you can't prove is love, right? Do two people love each other? Oh, how can you prove that? Oh, he did this, she did that, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't prove or disprove love. Love is something invisible, right? Intangible. But does love exist? It exists, right? The happiness exists. Oh, it's happy, happiness. I could get that cosmetically done to myself these days, right? And I could be miserable. So it's not just a smile. Happiness is also a state of being. It exists. But we don't debate so much the existence of those, but we get into a lot of debates about the soul. But it's the same thing: spiritual, non-physical, and experiential. I want to have faith in it. Meditate. Simple. Because you build up your own experience of how it works, what the feeling is, and then you know for yourself, based on your experience, about the soul. And then it's like if someone tells you that sugar tastes bitter, you're like, no, sugar doesn't taste bitter. I tasted it. It's sweet. The soul doesn't exist. I mean, that's ridiculous. I am a soul. I've experienced it. How can you? You may not have experienced it because you think it doesn't exist. That's your reality. But I know what it tastes like. I've been it. So we're not a human being seeking a spiritual experience. We're a spiritual being having this human experience. And we've forgotten that we're a spiritual being having this human experience because of body consciousness. We've created thoughts of body consciousness. We've built a reality of body consciousness, and we think it's real. And only when something happens in our life, crashes into us, do we realize that, maybe something's not quite right in this world that I've built up around myself. My thoughts create my reality. First statement, right, at the very beginning. I can also create a body-conscious reality. And I have, each of us has, because that's our conditioning. Socially, we've been trained to believe that's the reality. And actually, it's like intergenerational thoughts as well. My forefathers were body conscious, and they taught my parents to be body conscious, and my parents have taught me to be body conscious. It's been passed down for generations. Don't think that, the questionability of it, you're just part of a conditioned mold, that you've been indoctrinated with these views about body consciousness, and then the soul becomes an issue of debate. Actually, it's not an issue of debate, it's just an issue of lack of experience, lack of meditation practice. Practice, see for yourself. Simple. In terms of a bit more detail about the soul, these things are, I think, are easy to draw out together. What are some of the properties that the soul has? Here's a clue. Thoughts, right? So there's a function of consciousness that generates thoughts. What do we normally call that? Someone's out of their mind. They've got a mind and they've gone out of it. Mind creates thoughts, no? Simple. Is that it? There's only mind and thoughts and nothing else? There's more going on in my inner world, right? Feelings, yeah. And every thought you create, do you put it into practice? Do you act on it? But do you act on every thought? Or something else happens? Would it be a bit of an interesting day if you were forced to act on every thought that you created? It would be like total chaos, right? What people would be doing to each other. So there's a filter that happens, yeah? Reason, discrimination, filter. I think you also mentioned reason somewhere in the back there, yeah. And in psychology, what do they talk about a lot in psychology? It's the favorite thing of psychology. There's the mind, and there's also the subconscious mind. Yeah. Have you ever had the experience that you wanted to do something and you ended up doing something else? Unfortunately, it happens sometimes in the wrong way, right? What is that? Because there's stuff going on that's outside of our conscious awareness. Subconscious mind. Some of that's connected to my feelings as well. Yeah. This is really the essence of what I, the soul, am. Mind, reason, discrimination, and filters. Sometimes we call this intellect. In Hindi, buddhi is often used. And then subconscious feelings. You might be more familiar with the word sanskars. And this is what builds up my identity. This is how I create my false world, going through this internal process. There's some great examples of how we can create substantially false realities. Has anyone ever seen India's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent? They're quite popular shows, right? Have you ever, someone sent me this link to one whereby someone thought they were fantastic. They how they interview them beforehand and all that. They thought, I'm great and this is my talent. And then of course they play their performance and it sort of wasn't so great. But they were so convinced that it was excellent and it was so obvious to everyone that it was perhaps one of the worst performances ever. But in their head, they had a different reality, right? And it's sad for that person because obviously they wouldn't have appreciated what happened. But it shows how I could convince myself that I'm like a fantastic Michael Jackson singer and I can be totally hopeless. But to me, that's what it sounds like. In their reality, that's how it is. So how strong is our mind? I saw an interview from a guy who was a huge bodybuilder, really massive guy. And he said that when I look in the mirror, I still see this kid who is 7 years old who got sand kicked in his face. And because of that, he felt he needed to get strong and be able to look after himself. But he said, I cannot see myself as someone big and muscular. I still see myself as that kid. So he can't even see. The other one is weight, right? If we look in the mirror and we can't actually differentiate when we put on weight and lose weight very easily. Because we convince ourselves all sorts of things, right? Come on, guys, we look in the mirror in the morning and we're like, yeah. And other people are like, in our head it's one thing, external reality is something else. But our thoughts are so powerful that even something as obvious as that, we cannot tell. Yeah? Can't. Even though it's physically tangible and obvious, our mind is more powerful and can overpower what is objective reality. Yeah? So, attention on our thoughts. And this is where it all starts to build up. This is where our perception, our distortions start to creep in. And so we have to check about our thoughts. So to finish up, I want to do another meditation because, fundamentally, I feel that's the main thing we can offer you is repeated meditation practice, because that's what starts to change consciousness. That's what starts to change our thoughts. And that's what also builds up our own personal experience of what consciousness is. Because otherwise, the tricky thing with the mind, right, is that it's not very cooperative in meditation. Do you experience that? It wants to go somewhere else. Actually, if I could control my mind well, I could create these sorts of experiences of my original qualities very easily. But actually, I flick my mind onto other things and it creates different experiences. Just to give an example, sometimes people feel that I can't meditate, but really, honestly, each of you is a natural born meditator. You definitely, all of you, can meditate. But the thing is, what we've chosen to meditate on has tended to be things which don't create a positive experience inside. So say, for example, someone cuts us off in traffic, yeah? And I start to think about that. What are they doing? How could they drive like that? That person is so hopeless. If I've had a bad day or whatever, maybe I just can't get a hold of my thoughts. So I start thinking about that so much, then how do I start to feel inside? That's a meditation. I stewed myself. I boiled myself up. That's a powerful experience, right? Imagine if you can boil yourself just with your own mind. And you might be thinking they cut them off. Sorry, they cut you off. But it's my response to it. If I was in a chilled out state, it would happen and I wouldn't worry about it, yeah? But maybe I'm a bit annoyed or something's happened and it gets under my skin. I create a powerful experience for myself. It affects my heart rate. It affects my blood pressure. It comes into me physically. That's my power of my mind and my power of meditation. So I can meditate. But how do I choose to focus on things which create an experience inside that supports me, that helps me, that creates the life that I want? That's the only thing. I need to divert my mind into that type of thought process, that type of experience. That's why we play these meditation commentaries as well, right? It's just to try and help guide our flow of thoughts so that we naturally start to think along those lines. How to relax myself, how to make myself feel deep peace inside. That's what I want to use my thoughts for. And it's just about changing my focus. Yeah. Because there's a nice saying, where my attention goes, energy flows and life grows. Where my attention goes, energy flows, life grows. My attention goes on peace, peace grows. My attention goes on all my problems, they grow, and the feelings connected to those grow. We still have to work to solve our problems, but I can try and nurture peace and then come at my problems from a place of peace. Try and work for solutions from that space. Actually, I will get a better outcome for myself too. Yeah. So if we just finish with another meditation. Cool. Are you guys okay? Just background music and low lights. So again, I'm just aware of my surroundings, aware of my breath. and I recenter myself with my breath. And now I'm just going to be the observer of my thoughts and reflect upon the last hour and a half. What have we talked about? What did I like? What didn't I like? Whatever it is. I'm just aware of the chatter in my own mind as my own thoughts bubble away. But I try and step back from my thoughts. I'm just the observer. I'm not judging myself either way. I'm just observing what's happened and what's happening in my thoughts. I am this one who is conscious, who has awareness. And I have this power to direct my attention. And I'm going to direct my attention to the virtue of love. Love is invisible, but it's the main quality of human relationships. Love can come from others, but I can also generate the experience of love within myself. I, the soul, am a being of love. Love is my original quality, my true nature. Everyone loves to receive love, but there also has to be people to give it. So I think about myself as a being who will share love in all my relationships. The more I interact with love with others, my relationships will become healthy and positive. if there's anyone, any relationship where I feel that love is reduced, then I think about forgiving that person. They are doing the best they can according to their capacity and their understanding, so I can forgive them. Forgiveness allows the energy of love to flow again. In my mind, I imagine I'm telling people, I forgive you. I forgive you. I, the soul, am a being of pure love. And I resolve to help bring more love into this world. Love can only increase in this world if each of us helps increase it. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. It's been a pleasure to be in Pune with you and have the opportunity to meet and share. And Nikki, do you have any sort of concluding things you need to do? But from my side, thank you very much, and I really hope that you found anything in the session helpful and rewarding. Then I will feel the satisfaction of that as well. But please.
Thank you, Brother Dan. I would invite anyone who wants to share their experience over the last 2 hours in a line or two, if you want to share what you're taking away today or what was the experience. Anyone can just come up and share shortly. You can speak in Hindi if you want. I can do the translation. Feel comfortable. Please come forward. We want to get a feel of what you are taking, what benefit you're taking, or what was the experience today. Very good. Please come. The others can think. Whoever wants to share, this is the last chance.
Thank you, Dan. As you said earlier, I was like the same, who is controlled by the external factors, by news and having a materialistic life. But what I learned today, that to have control on our thoughts and have inner peace. That's the one lesson I learned, and having that's the control on our thoughts and have inner peace. That's the second thing. Thank you for the session is really helpful and informative. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to share?
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much for the very good session, knowledgeable. Okay. So from the session, I'm taking so many things positive. One is I'll start putting so much attention on my original values so that that will grow as well. Okay, so I'm thinking that is where I'm so much lack. Okay, so that is it.
Thank you. And for me, it was a refresher on a lot of things, and at least it gets you started to think in a different way. We are not there yet, but this is the start of even being aware of where we are, and there is a possibility to shift, to make that shift. And we know we need to do that homework and work on it to have that experience on a daily basis. So, we do have centers all across the city. I'm sure you have come from different parts of the city. We have a course, 1 week basic course, which is free of charge. You just need to have interest and have some time. So we'll be having course here at Jagdamba Bhavan starting tomorrow at 7 to, there are two batches we are having, 7 to 8 in the morning and 7 to 8 in the evening. So whoever is interested can give their names. And those who don't stay close by or it's not possible here, you can locate a center near you and you can just drop in and fix up a time what suits you, and do join the course to learn more on what we talked about, and also practice meditation and meet like-minded people. So there'll be some refreshments for you outside, some prasad and some drinks, and we have some feedback outside at the reception counter. So whoever wants to give their feedback is most welcome to do that. Anything else? Thank you so much for being here today, and wish you all the best on your journey forward. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thanks, Nikki Ben and Dan Bhai. Just a couple of announcements. So at the reception, we have video feedback because these days, as you all know, youth gets inspired by seeing the Insta or Facebook. So Brahma Kumari's Jagdama Bhavan social media handles are very strong. So maybe we can tag you all. So you all can share any one or two feedback so that other youths can also take inspirations from you. And regarding the course, as Sister Nikki mentioned, at the reception, please note down your names so that we get to know a rough estimation of how many of you all are planning to join. So yes, we have washrooms over this side in case if you all want to go this side, or even at the bottom. At the ground level, we have a beautiful exhibition. So in case today is Sunday, so in case if you all have some time, if you would like to watch the digital exhibition, so yes, you are also welcome for that. And we will also send you an email, all those who have registered. So in case if anybody has missed mentioning their email or number at the reception, please do that. Next event we will be planning in the month of December. So each month we have one event for the youth in the series of Design Your Destiny. So the dates are not yet finalized. It would be somewhere close to the Christmas. So we will keep you informed whenever we have the next event. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Om Shanti. Okay, as you all are going, we have a big conference coming up next Sunday. That conference is for lawyers